Hello and welcome to Across the Pond WNBA. This week we're in Phoenix. Well, we're not really, but Jasmine, you were in Phoenix this weekend. How was that for you?
Oh, I had a blast. Just being able to see watch the All Star game in a different light. Because when they was in Vegas, I'm in the stands, cheering on like with everybody else. But just to be in the background, that was actually really, really, really fun. Um, just being able to see the players warm up, just check out the press conferences and just actually see the players actually, engage, be silly, have fun. Like that was actually really good to see.
Yeah, there was a lot of engagement, and I think that is one thing that WNBA do well.
Yeah.
Is there is so much engagement between fans and players that everyone, and probably not everyone, but like most people get a chance to, say hi, take a picture, like that
hmm
kind of thing. There was loads of that across social media over the weekend.
It was I think they did really they made a lot of people day, that's all I can say. Just from
Well,
kids to
hmm,
just adults, like, everybody day was made, even, like, where they had the stage set, I saw Brittany Griner run up, and it was a bunch of kids right there, and she run, cross, shaking their hands, and one of the kid was just holding their hand, just looking at their hand, like, all in shock, but it was good to see, like, everybody being in just to interact, have fun, even, like,
mhm.
the mascots were there having a blast, and of course, Miss Big Ellie cutting up as usual, but it was actually really, really good to see.
It looked amazing. Now, Michelle, I told you about a story yesterday where Angel Reese is walking back after the game, and this little girl's holding up a sign, and it says, "I'll give you all this candy if you give me your shoes," and it was like covered in Reese's Buttercups, and Angel's seen this, and she immediately takes off the
Mhm.
shoes and hands them over, and then somebody's obviously said to her, "Oh, you should probably sign those."
Yeah.
So takes one of the shoes back and signs it, and the little girl, honestly, her
Oh,
face, and actually, you know what? See her dad was, like, standing right next to her, and his face was, like, beaming as well,
yeah.
and I thought, like, it's those kind of interactions that, like, that little girl will never forget, and she's got a memento of it as well.
It was actually pretty cool
Absolutely.
too. That was cool. She had on the, Angel Reese jersey too, that's what made it even better.
Yeah. Yeah, it was
Which
a
is
sky
so
jersey.
dope. I think the league has done a excellent job since inception of saying, "Hey, we're gonna hang our hat on being a fans-oriented league," where they've always done that. They've always been there afterwards and made sure so it's good to see these players coming in who are making more money, who could easily be like, "Nah, I don't wanna get too close," or security. They can make up any excuse in the world, and they're still, like, embracing it, and I think college plays a part in that because that is something that is a big part of the college game too, that makes players wanna come out. I think Angel Reese is so personable.
Yeah.
Things like that are just gonna make her even more marketable, and like you said, that young girl, even the fans who were watching on television, when they see a fan's dream come true, they can imagine it happening for themselves, so I think the league needs to continue that, the players continue to be great stewards of that, and that's one of the reasons the league is growing so fast too.
Yeah, for sure. And talking about security, one thing that I've noticed over the years with the WNBA is the security are very kind of they're there, but they're very kind of hands off. There's
Yeah,
distance.
yeah,
Whereas like in the NBA, it's like the security are like
They like
on
right
top
here.
of the players. like they've got the players and like wrapped up and all this kind of stuff.
yeah,
Whereas in the W, it is so much more, it just feels more relaxed and a bit
Yeah.
more of a relaxed atmosphere, both at teams and like at events like the All-Star game.
100. I think the league had always one of the things they say is this is a family-oriented league. So
Yeah.
they want it to be an approachable league where the players are approachable, and as long as you're being, respectful and no one's trying to, cross any boundaries, because we have that every blue moon, but for the
Yeah.
most part, the fans are actually exceptional in most cases around the league.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
I
definitely. I
agree.
think so. So Jasmine, you arrive in Phoenix, and straight up you've got Alicia. um, Alicia Gray, and like, she's phenomenal. And like at the last Olympics, she did the 3v3 tournament, and obviously won gold because that's
Yeah.
the standard. And
Mm.
she was on fire, like skills challenge, 3-point contest.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what, she's just gonna win it all.
She gained a lot of fans this weekend, like tons. They actually got to see how good she actually really is. Just like, we've been saying all along, like it's a lot of players is like, hey, no, they actually are really good. Y'all are late. But I'm glad
Yes.
you're here. You jumped on and get to see. She did her thing. Just to win both of them back to back like that. And nobody haven't done that in a while, so that makes it even better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What was the crowd like when she won? Was it because obviously watching it on TV, you don't get a big sense of it, but it must have erupted
Oh, it did.
when she was winning.
It did. Soon as JJ missed that shot, it went bananas. It was like a mixture of oh and then yay all together. Like so it was like we want we want everybody to win, but at the same time, dang, we wanted her to win too. So it's like hard to pick, but we happy everybody. The person who won. But yeah, even like her, even when she said that too, she was just like, "Yeah, I would love to see people, succeed too. That makes me
Mhm.
happy. But also, the competitor in me, I'm happy. I won, and she missed that shot."
I've always been big on Alicia Gray, but Michelle, like she is a bit of a I would call it like a silent assassin
Absolutely.
because she will go about her business and people don't. It's almost as if they don't. Not that they forget that she's there, but it's kind of like, oh, she can do that. I forgot about
Mhm.
that. It's like people just don't realize how good she is.
I think it's because she probably has that sleeping giant mentality. She's kinda like, "I'm just here, I'm in chill mode, don't wake me up, because if you do, I'm going to destroy you." And that's just her MO, that's how she's always played. People who have seen her wake up, everyone knows what she's capable of. I
Mhm.
think like Jazz just said, doing it on one of the biggest stages in the All-Star game where the fans are there for all the players, now she's crossed over into other teams and
Mhm.
fans of other teams. And she took home 60% of the pot in terms of money too. She made
Uh-huh.
60% of her WNBA salary in one day. I'm just saying,
Which is
she
crazy.
just has her own little smooth swag, but she's taking people money. She made some
Yeah.
noise, and I think we talked about this earlier. Is with the Caitlin Angel Reese thing, all-Star Game gave the platform for other athletes across the board to also get some of that attention and for fans to realize, like, there's a lot of talent across the board and other
Mhm.
people that they can follow as well, and I think Alicia Gray was definitely one of the front runners this weekend.
Oh, for sure. I think
Yeah.
she was absolutely phenomenal. As always, like I've always been a big fan because when I seen her in that 3v3 tournament,
Yeah.
when you do that kind of format, you can't hide anywhere. Like
No.
you can't like 5v5, you can sometimes,
Yeah.
take 30 seconds and kind of chill out. But a 3v3 is fast paced
Yeah.
and like
Mhm.
that's when I really first noticed Alicia and I think she's a phenomenal player. I'm kind of sad she isn't doing it again this year, actually, 3v3, because I think she'd be good at that. But they decided to go younger with Van Leith and few others,
Mhm.
but I and in fact, Derek Hamby, she's going. So,
Yeah.
but I think that Friday, it's weird because it's Friday,
Yeah.
used to like with the NBA being Saturday, but I think with the Friday, did that work? Like, was the stadium kind of filled out and lots of people kind of there to see it?
It was more than last year. It was more than last year. I'll say that. It was still like some seats, still open, but it was way more people than last year. I'd say that for sure. And everybody enjoyed it. So, and that's all that matters.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, more people showed up than last year. That's all I can say. So that's growth right there. I think if we had our two people that everybody wanted to see in the 3-point contest, I think we would have had. I think it would have been sold out.
And who did you want to see, Jeff?
I mean, Sabrina and Caitlyn. I
Go
mean,
head to head. Let's go.
that's what the people wanted. They should have gave that to us. But I
Right.
understand, like, Caitlyn said she's tired, and I get
Yes.
it.
Yeah,
So I
yeah,
I get it. I enjoyed who did the 3-point contest anyways, but it would have been really, really nice to see them, and yeah, they would have literally sold that arena out for the challenges.
yeah. I mean, it. I always like that kind of thing because it does seem a bit more kind of fan friendly kind of thing because we knew
Mhm.
when we talk about the game, the game's going to be competitive because of the format this year because we've seen that 3 years ago. Um, but I think it was good that the Friday was a spectacle and we got to see people shine, other people in the league shine
Mhm.
from other teams because I think this year has been very, and certainly in the media, it's been very Indiana, it's been very Chicago, it's been very Las Vegas, very New York. So
Mhm.
it's nice to kind of see some other players from other teams kind of get to take the spotlight as well, isn't it, Michelle?
Oh, I 100% agree. And to be honest, I also think it gives them a year to hype up the biggest 3-point challenge because you got to remember it was Sabrina and Steph last year, and
Yeah.
they broke the record. So it's kind of like this gives something for fans to look forward to next year as well. So I think
Yeah,
it was well played. Like everything doesn't have to happen in one year. And
yeah,
like you said, I think exposing some of these other players is helpful for the league
Mhm.
because you don't want everything resting on one player or two players because if an injury occurs or something like that happens, it it drops the bottom out of the league. So we need to make sure these fans fall in love with other players because there are plenty of them for them to love.
yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
definitely for sure. Now let us get on to the big dance, the game itself. Now 3 years ago, we had this format, and I think me and Michelle wholeheartedly agreed that this should be the format every year
Yes,
because it was so competitive.
It was.
Like, and like we had Courtney Williams running up and down the court, jumping up and down. Yeah, Janquil Jones saying, "Yeah, you should have picked me," and like all this kind of stuff going on. Jasmine, from your perspective, from last time when we had this format, is this format? I think because it's more competitive, it is more fun, and people play defense.
People actually, speaking of defense, I Aces, y'all played some defense at the All-Star game, but don't be playing defense during the game. That's another story. But they, they played defense. Everybody played defense, which was actually great. It was exciting to see. Everybody was actually competing. It was more serious. They still had fun. It was like everybody was just so locked in the crowd just because it was actually a good game.
Yeah, it
And
was. It was an
yeah.
excellent game last time. And Enrique obviously won MVP last time out,
Hmm.
and all of a sudden she pops up again. That third quarter, by the way, I mean we'll talk about the game itself, but that third quarter, I mean they might as well just instead of calling it third quarter, they should just call it Enrique quarter.
Yeah.
She was on fire.
yo,
didn't even score the first half.
that
No.
part. She was like, "I'm gonna give y'all a head start."
It was a jersey switch. It was a jersey switch.
Oh,
Oh.
I like that.
I
Superman,
I
switch it.
I didn't even know they were gonna do this switch of the jerseys. I was like,
Ooh.
and like the thing as well. I don't know if you did the same, but I'm watching it, and it wasn't until the commentary team said it. I was like, oh yeah, they switched jerseys. I didn't even. My brain did not compute that.
Nobody realized because we all talking next to each other. Did they change jerseys? They did. And now we all going back and looking at videos and stuff that they did change.
Yo, the players were like, "They're not ready for us. Let's make sure we keep them up."
It said Team
Oh
USA who?
That part. That
yeah,
part.
yeah. So the game itself. I mean, we were expecting an absolutely phenomenal game for sure, and
Yeah.
I don't think we disappointed. We were disappointed at all.
Mm.
I mean,
Mm.
and it was the third quarter that kind of won it for us. Team WNBA,
Yeah.
with Enrique's absolutely amazing performance. Now, apparently Sue Bird was giving crap to Caitlin Clark during the game, and she was told by one of the commentary team, I forget his name, that if she's got 9 assists at this point, she gets another 2, she can level with Sue Bird. And actually, for the first time this season, I seen Caitlin Clark be funny. She was like, "Oh, yeah, I'm gonna go right over there and tell her." And I was like but then later on when she didn't do it, it was kinda like, I'm just gonna let her have it. Like, I'll just let her have it. It's fine. There's always next year. I can take it from her."
Yep.
And I was
Yeah.
like, "But because it's All-Star and you're away from the league games,
Mhm.
Michelle, is that are we s were we able to see a more relaxed Caitlin Clark without all the hype on her because there was so many stars there?
I've said this from day one. She's had a lot on her. From college straight into the pros with no break, no chance to kind of figure out how she wants to go into the league, who she wants to be. I'm glad we got to see her personality. We see the talk on the court. Like she was
Yeah.
watching on the court. But I think to also see her bantering with Sue Bird, who's a historian of the sport,
Yeah.
who has the same record, but show that respect and then come back and be like, oh, it's still there for next year. That's the part that if she successfully transitions into that role, done deal. Because she already has the marketing, the platform, she has the endorsements behind her, the league is behind her. And to be honest, as I've said, her game is going to continue to flourish, and we are seeing the female LeBron being born. So just like it took him a few years, it's going to take her some time. I think she'll do it faster. But I
Yeah.
love to see that part of her because for me, that was the one part that has been missing
Yep.
even when they styled her for draft day, it didn't fit her personality. And
Yep.
now you see her as she walks through the tunnel. We're seeing more of her come out
Yep.
versus who maybe they were trying to pigeonhole her into. I think she's just embracing be who the hell she wants to be, like she does on the court. Like have that same banter. And I love like she was joking with Diana Taurasi in the game the other day when they played.
Yep.
I love seeing that, and I would love to see more of that from her.
I said she was you know how Kawhi when he stepped away from the Spurs,
Yes.
that's that's kind of vibe she gave us. Like she all serious over here, but over here she over laughing, smiling, having a good time, joking. Like her being mic'd up was funny.
Good.
Yeah. Yeah, her mic'd up was fun. Um, I I think this game in particular, it had so much hype. You had Diana
Mhm.
Taurasi coming back, who's going for her 6th Olympic gold medal.
Mhm.
That that's huge. You've got Brittany Griner back in a USA uniform after everything she's been through, and then you've got like the quartet. We'll call them the quartet of aces players that just know how to show up. And
That
then
part.
you've got like players like Jewel Lloyd, Kayla Copper,
Mhm.
Sabrina, Nafisa, and like you just think about this team and you just think but then when you looked at the other team you were like that's a heck of a damn team as well like that might be the some people might say the B team but like you've got Alicia Gray, you've got Derek Hamby, Kelsey Mitchell, by the way, I thought she had a phenomenal first
Great game.
half.
She did.
Like she was all over the place.
She definitely did. And I think with when they all was the fever was all on the same team, they were
Yeah.
still like they were the only players on the court. But yeah, she had a good weekend too, even just with her stepping into the for the skill challenge. So
Mhm.
she gained some fans that weekend too, for sure.
It
Oh,
was nice to see Dewana Bonner out
Yeah.
there. Like,
hmm
I like it when we see the Connecticut Sun get celebrated,
Yes.
because I think now obviously we have one on obviously the USA side as well, but, Alyssa Thomas. But
Mhm.
it was kinda nice nice because they walked in I like how they walked in together,
Yes.
like, when they did the
hmm
red carpet
They
thing.
were GQ
Uh,
too.
yeah, I was like, "See, that's nice." Like, those are the but I think that's kinda goes back to being more personable with the public and
Yeah,
with the
yeah,
fans, and
Yeah.
like everyone's quite open about everything. And
yeah.
I think like you see Sabrina talking to fans, having a laugh and a joke, and taking pictures and whatever else. And I think when you looked at this game, the game obviously didn't go the USA's way in the end, but it was a heck of a game in terms of the fans and what the fans want to see, because
Mhm.
it's that I've always said the NBA All-Star game is a bust now, because it's just like, can we score 500 points?
Yeah.
Whereas with this format with USA, because those WNBA players, just like 3 years ago before Tokyo, those WNBA players had a point to prove,
Yeah.
and this year was no different. They had a point to prove. You may be going over with the red, white, and blue to Paris, but we're going to give you a whipping before you go.
Oh, that's why I really love the All-Star game. I actually participated in one of those games, and one of the best parts about it is the USA, when you think about even when we say the B team, that's probably gonna be some of their toughest competition
Mhm.
Mm,
before they go into those games. So it's like a great time to check out your zones, your full court presses. So they're throwing all types of different things out there. And back to what Pat Summitt says, it's always good to catch a good whooping before you go into the playoffs because it
Yeah.
reminds you that you're not invincible.
Yep.
So I kind of like that reminder. I think it's also good for the WNBA and sports across the globe because you got to see all the different players, like Enrique just smoking in the third
yeah.
quarter, and it reminds you like women's basketball is really expanding globally.
Mhm.
So I think games like that are just going to continue to highlight the immense amount of talent that is out there in the league.
Angel Reese, a double double.
Mhm.
Again,
I
are you
mean,
shocked?
another double double, and you're kind of like, now I've seen people compare her, not in the media, but kind of on social media,
Mhm,
and this is a positive thing as well. People
mhm.
compare her to Dennis Rodman, because remember Dennis Rodman, maybe not the biggest guy, but god damn it, could he rebound?
He could, but I can't compare her to Dennis Rodman though. Sorry,
Yeah, nah.
can't do
Hate
it.
to
Not
I'm
not
gonna
not the
say only
person, not
Dennis.
not the
Dennis
person, but
can
the
throw a
player.
pea in the ocean. Okay, I love Dennis Rodman. He is my absolute favorite basketball player. Anyone who knows me knows how much I love him. Angel Reese is smoking Dennis Rodman. She brings it on both ends of the floor. She plays now in terms of their defense and their rebounding. I get it, but I
Yeah,
think you have to compare her to someone who also had the offensive
scoring.
skills. Yes, because
Yeah.
she's the total package, whereas Dennis was known for defense and rebounding,
Yeah,
which were phenomenal. So
yeah,
don't get it twisted. But
Yeah.
I love that she was tied with Shaq's record in his rookie year with double doubles, and I love that they even showed that record because I
yeah,
go, you do realize Shaq got 82 games to her 40.
yeah.
So for her to already be tied, do you realize how big that is? I don't
Yeah.
think people realize how big that is. It's
Yeah.
huge.
Yeah, that's
Now,
huge.
when she didn't get the double double, that's when I was shocked. I was looking up like,
Yeah.
wait,
Liberty said, "Ah, ah, ah."
uh, you're Angel
Yeah, well,
Reese.
I think during that game, for the Liberty not, like, triple teaming her at the end of the game to make sure she didn't, I was like, "Come on, that's just
Hey,
harsh." Um,
They said,
bully
"Nah,
boy
not on our
tactics.
watch."
hey, I
Yeah,
feel them. But
they
the
were
fact
not
that you have to
happy.
triple team her to say how good she is, because
Oh,
I think you brought up a great point. She's undersized,
yeah.
Mhm.
Mhm.
but when you look at how she rebounds, she does exactly what Dennis does, which is what I did. Is he knows how to take up space and use his length because she does have long
Yeah.
arms and
Yeah,
she takes up a lot of space and she's so fast. So when you have cornbread post players going against her, you're done. She's gonna
she also
outjump you. She's quicker than you.
I also think she anticipates
Mhm,
really well. Like, when
Yeah.
that ball goes up and she's not anywhere near the basket,
mhm,
but then she
Yeah.
makes a run, and she always seems to get into the right position for that ball
mhm.
dropping.
I wonder if
Like,
she
that
watched Dennis'
part's
video because he actually teaches that.
mm.
I actually watched it when I was playing, and I would sit there and I would sit on the sideline and watch my teammates shoot. And you'll notice certain people miss to the right. They miss short, so it's going to front rim. And once you start knowing where your teammates are going to move, you already have the fitness. You're faster. You know how to jump. You're going to get to those spots easier. So I'm wondering, and honestly, with the amount of money she's making, I'm sure she has someone in her ear, and we know that her and Shaquille are very close.
Mhm.
So I'm sure she's listening to him on some of those tricks to kind of leverage her athleticism.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and he could rebound. Let's be honest, like he could rebound.
Superman,
Like
that's the original Superman, not Dwight.
oh, don't. Dwight was a second-hand knockoff, really. Jesus, that's I was like, no, no. But this, I think, was a perfect kind of send off for them. Yes, they get beat, but happened 3 years ago.
Yeah.
Enrique won the MVP 3 years ago, and this time as well. It's almost like history repeating itself, you know. And you have all of those players, Neka, Dewana, Janquel, like all going after it and making sure that they weren't going to get an easy ride. Because, like you say, Michelle,
No.
that is probably the toughest game that this team will play this year. Like, because you look at the Olympic teams that they'll play, and unlike soccer, where the rest of the world have caught up with the USA, with basketball, they are catching up.
They
But
are.
I think there's still there's still a good. Of course, you guys are going to say that, but I think there is a long way to go before like a Germany or a Greece or something is kind of caught up, and certainly Great Britain won't be there anytime soon because we don't even have a professional league anymore. So, like, we it's unbelievable. But I think what's good is we got to see a lot of young players. We got to see a good mix of players from around the league all come together for the weekend. And Jasmine, was there any kind of big highlight for you of the weekend being there in Phoenix?
Honestly, just to be there. Honestly, just to be there, just to be able to watch the players, watch the game like in person and not on TV, just to have that experience. But yeah, the whole thing was my highlight. Literally, I had a blast.
And you were close as well. Like you were taking video from like courtside.
Eye to
So
eye.
I mean, you weren't far away. You weren't far away.
I was eye to eye. I said,
Come
nope.
on, ah, baby.
I seen the security guy looking at you funny.
So don't get too close.
That part. So what was your favorite moment? Because you're courtside. What was your
Yeah.
favorite moment that you got to witness right there from courtside?
DT taking the first shot. That's my favorite
That was
player.
good.
So get her being able to, I feel like she been in the league for freaking forever. So for her to take that first basket means a lot. And with her, getting ready to, get her 6th gold. So to me, I felt like that her taking that first bucket was super meaningful. So able to see that and to see her in person, just that I could say, yeah, for sure.
And in Phoenix as well. Like
Yeah.
her home.
I
Like,
was right behind her too. Right behind her.
you know what I did think was going to happen? Because Sue Bird and Megan Rapinoe were sitting courtside. I was thinking, like, are they going to, like, get Diana to come over with a jersey and put it on Sue and, like, drag Sue onto the court for, like, 30 seconds or something? Because I thought that would have been hilarious because those two had such a long have such a long friendship and so many Olympics together. And after the last Olympics, Diana said she was coming back and she was bringing Sue Bird with her.
Yes.
Obviously, Sue Bird decided
that was.
She said, I'm tired. I want to rest.
I'm tired.
Oh, it was a shame. But yeah, so I kind of thought that kind of thing. In terms of famous people, because obviously the WNBA now has become a draw for celebrities, and there was plentiful. Now, apparently there was one there, and she actually was sitting next to Sue Bird, I had no idea who she was. Apparently her name is Aubrey Plaza. She's an actress, I think. I have no idea who she is, but she's sitting there. But apparently she tore her ACL during the weekend playing basketball.
Yeah. Yep, I heard about that. I don't know what she was doing, but I did hear about that.
I was like, surely whatever film studio she's working for just now is writing into the contract that she can no longer play basketball.
The crazy part is it's probably already in the contract. Remember, that's why I've never been skiing, motorcycles. That stuff is in your
Yeah.
contract.
Yeah, and for an
Mm,
actress, I would imagine.
Man, I promise you, I would have lied. They would have been like, "What happened to your ACL, girl? I fell on the sidewalk.
They
I
better
fell
write it
on
in
the
the script.
bleachers." But I would not have said playing ball or trying to be a stunt double.
They better write it in the
It's
script. They gotta write it in the script.
Well, they
Oh,
did that. They did that for Matt LeBlanc in Friends when he broke his collarbone. Like
yeah,
they wrote it. They
'cause
wrote
you
wrote
can.
it in the script
You can
Yeah.
do all that stuff. I
because
just
he.
hope she's okay, 'cause that's an injury
Yeah,
that takes a while to get back from.
Yeah.
yeah. I don't know if
Yeah.
she's making a movie just now or not. Like, because I
Yeah.
genuinely don't know who she is. I don't know what she's been in. So, I'm
She was having a
sorry,
blast.
fans.
She
But
was
she looked like she looked a
good,
little inebriated as well. I want to
good.
say that on
She was
TV.
having a blast.
Yeah.
Uh, Ellie had walked over by her, started dancing with her. Yeah, they were.
Mm.
She was having a blast. She forgot all about her her
ACL.
ACL.
She was like, "Whatever."
But she did have ice and stuff on it too. I know
Oh, good,
Sue
good,
Bird was
okay.
helping her with the ice and stuff. So
Oh, I seen her
Oh,
like
that's
try to
dope.
tie her shoelace or something. I
so
think she
it
was.
it
Yeah,
was
she
the
was.
ice pack she had on
Ah,
her. Yep. So
Okay.
she was helping her with that. So she was okay.
The good news
yeah,
is,
it
I
was.
mean, you are sitting next to Sue and, like, they're gonna help you. You're gonna be fine. They're
Yeah,
gonna tell you exactly what to do, so you're good.
Yeah,
yeah.
it's
You're good.
okay.
What was really nice was we got to see Kobe Bryant's family there.
Yes.
Uh, Obviously, Diana and the Kobe Bryant family very close, and it was nice to see them courtside
Yeah.
and kind of continue that legacy of being supporters of the WNBA and its teams. And again, we've seen Caitlin Clark,
Yeah, I was about to bring that up.
interacting,
Mm.
and again, we've seen a bit more of her personality. And I think now that I've seen her over the weekend, like I really do feel like she does have a personality. She's not a cyborg, and like I just hope that after the Olympic break, when we come back, I do hope she feels a bit more relaxed and that she can kind of be herself, doesn't feel that
Yeah.
pressure so much.
I
Yeah.
think it's the media too that's playing a part of that.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Where we don't really get to see that side of her. But I just a, and I think you know, being with her, the coach, being with Cheryl, it, they was having a blast over there, smiling, having a good time. So hopefully, like that kind of like let her relax and be like, hey, you could just be yourself. It's okay. But I think it's hard for her to actually be herself because of
Mhm.
the media
Yeah.
and trying to paint this narrative of
Yep.
the type of person that she is, and it's not fair that we don't get to see who she actually really is. So this moment was actually really good for her.
Yeah. No, it was lovely. Um, Michelle, Jason Sudeikis, Ted Lasso, he was there, and I have to say, like, some celebrities will be there every now and again,
Yeah.
but he's someone that he shows up everywhere, and he did a brunch for the play. I think for fans and a couple of the players in the morning, and like they made it a whole event on a Saturday morning. I mean, I think there's a couple of these things that happen, but I thought I thought that was really cool that you've got this big TV star, you know, and he turns up to college games, he turns up to
Mhm.
WNBA games, like in whatever city he's in at that time.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's someone, and he comes in and he's got the t-shirt, but we watch women's sports and stuff like that. And like, how important is it to have allies like Jason Sudeikis, who, he did Ted Lasso, and obviously that's a football, soccer, sorry, thing. But like for me, for young kids, they see, oh, Ted Lasso's a basketball game. It's a women's basketball game. Oh, maybe I should watch this too. There is that as well. Like as much as it's good for him and he gets to
Mhm.
enjoy the game, but at the same time, he will obviously realize that him being there is bringing in fans potentially as well.
Absolutely. It To be honest, we've talked about this when we first started 4 years ago, is when you walk into a gym overseas, it was nothing but men with their daughters. Or, you would expect it to be the opposite, moms with their daughters. That was an arena full of men with shirts off, screaming and yelling, painted faces and belly. It was wild. But this is the first time I'm seeing that coming from the US because we don't have any
Mhm.
proteins. So now when you look at Jason and all that he's doing, and you're thinking about how important this is, we said this would happen. Men were going to start having daughters who are playing and going to colleges and being able to play in the league, and they were going to support them. And in turn, when people saw that, they would in turn support. I will be
Mhm.
honest, didn't start with Jason. It started with
No, no.
Yep,
Kobe
Kobe.
coming because his family was still there representing, but
Mhm.
Kobe showing up in the orange sweatshirt, the WNBA sweatshirt, and then you had other NBA guys and entertainers, Chance the Rapper bringing his kids and putting on that orange sweatshirt that everyone was wearing for the first couple of years. And I think now, you see Jason showing up and he has the together t-shirt or a hoodie on as well. It's saying the same message, but I want to definitely give Kobe credit because he's one of those
Yeah.
people who stepped out when
Yep,
it wasn't popular to do so.
yep.
He did this and he was doing, his daughter's AAU team and talking about women's sports and promoting it before it was popular. So I want to make sure he gets that credit. And then we have to credit people like Jason, Chance, and all of these other entertainers who are now showing up and saying, hey, I'm repping women's sports. You got Lil Kim in New York showing up to the games rapping. Like it's rappers, entertainers, and the way this thing is going is forcing the league forward and is showing all the different personalities and entertainers that are united, not just on the court, but outside of it as well. It's going to be great for basketball. It's great for the fan that can come and see all these celebrities sitting courtside as well. Like, who gets that experience for a
Yeah.
10 or a $20 ticket?
That's it. And I think as well, like New York is obviously usually a place that
Yeah.
you will see celebrities, but like we've seen them actually all around the league this year.
Yes.
And I think that's important. And I have always said, I think Kobe, like you say, Kobe started it. But I loved that when Bradley Beal was in Washington
Yep.
playing for
Oh
the
yeah.
Wizards,
Yep.
he was he had a season ticket for the Mystics.
Mhm.
Mhm.
A lot of
And
them
he
did. I remember
yeah.
back in the day, Tracy McGrady and all of them had
Mhm.
tickets. Like, they've been coming for years. I think just coming in terms of wearing the women's gear and promoting the women's
Yeah.
game, Kobe was one of the first I saw do that,
Yeah.
but there have been male entertainers and athletes supporting us from day one.
Yeah.
So I wanna make that clear. Kobe wasn't the first supporter. He was
Yeah.
just the first one that really stepped into that role of, I'm coaching women's AAU instead of doing the men's, and really just promoting the women's game. But look, he had daughters, and
Yep.
this is
Yeah.
what we predicted that this would happen, and it
You
did.
did. And in all fairness, we've seen it. You know, what 4 years ago we had Courtney Williams on
Yep.
the show around about this time actually. In
Mhm.
fact, yeah, it was during the Olympic break.
Yep.
We had Courtney Williams and she talked about her dad
Yes.
and how her dad made sure she made it to practice, made sure she made it to her travel games and then through college and then he's followed her obviously through the pros and you can still see him running around in the background on TV
Demon.
beaming because his daughter's playing and doing well. And I think, you hit that nail on the head 3, 4 years ago when you said, just you watch when all these guys realize that their daughters could play basketball
Because
and
they're
do it at a
going to
high level.
defend their baby girl. One thing about a father, you're not gonna talk trash to his baby because you know how guys come up, "Ain't no girl gonna score on me. I bet my baby score on you." And it makes it fun because it's engaging, it's interactive. but it also it brings some equality too.
Yeah.
Like women can play too. The sport is just as fun, if not more fundamental, on the women's
Yeah.
side. And now you have people playing above the rim. It's a total game and a total package, and we knew it would take time. Can you imagine how beautiful this thing is going to look in just 5 years?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's gonna look real
Like
nice.
I also would say that part of the game is the physicality
Oh
that
yeah,
Yeah.
we see. Like, I grew up in the 90s when, you know, a foul
Detroit Bad
was
Boys,
a foul was you had to pretty much kill someone.
blood,
Whereas now you look at them the wrong way and it's a foul
It's a
in the
that
foul.
part,
NBA.
Yep.
that part.
Whereas now, like in the WNBA, the physicality, I think it lends itself.
Mhm.
People, I remember growing up and you don't want to watch girls basketball. Like they're just gonna run around. They're not even gonna touch each other. But like you see some of the body checks and stuff. Ice hockey players would be proud of some of those checks.
No, yeah, for sure.
Listen, you can't come in that pain and not get hit.
Mm-mm.
You saw Angel Reese got clotheslined and got up and was like part of the game. Like,
Uh,
She was like, "All right, I just
that
dust myself
yeah,
off. It's
rite of
cool."
passage.
And that's why I had to learn how to do a nice little
That
little
floater.
floater. Or
yeah.
you ain't about to beat me
Them
up down
guards used to
there.
make me so mad. Don't you float it, but come on.
No, like nope. I'm gonna stop right here and just.
Hey, when I was on defense, I used to just stand right on the edge of the key, and I just stand there because you knew someone was going to come barreling in. I'll just take your offensive foul. Thank you
Boom.
so much.
Come and
I
get this.
mean, I ended up with some lumps on my head and stuff. I think that's might be wrong up here. Like I took a couple of 2 elbows or so.
Man. I think, but coaches teach that too within the women's game, and I don't know if a lot of people know that.
Yeah.
Like when you're protecting the paint, if you let somebody go in there and get a layup uncontested, you won't have a job very long. You're going to be at the very end of the bench on the floor.
Who said
They
somebody 5'5" bet not come in here.
they might get the and one, but they better not have a head on their neck to shoot that free throw.
Now, all my coaches growing up, that's all you hear them telling our big like, no, don't you better not
You
even in
protect the
practice,
paint.
don't let they be like, don't let Jazz in here. Don't.
Yeah, it is what it
Yeah,
is. You're going
I
it's a
got that.
rite of passage. I mean, that's just part of the game. If you're gonna come in the paint, it's going to be physical. And I think that's actually one of the highlights of the game is that it's not this game where no one is touching each other. It's actually very physical. And it's just like the men's game. You see when their rookies come in, they're going to give them a rite of passage too. LeBron had to go through that. Then he had to
Mhm.
go through it again in Miami with the villain year. But the same happens the same happens in women's sports. You saw it with Candace Parker, and then she goes to Chicago and wins again. And she goes, like I think that's just part of the game. And we've seen her deal with the injuries from the physicality that
Yeah.
comes in the game and the way a lot the one thing I will say on the women's side is I think they handle the physicality better in most cases
Way
because they
better.
understand that it's simply a rite of passage. It's nothing personal.
Now we did see a lot of rookies in this. Oh well, two rookies in this All Star weekend, and when they both were on the floor together, like that was the moment. That was one of the. I mean, there
Yeah.
was so many moments from this weekend,
Yeah.
but that was one of the moments that people were kind of looking forward to. And I wouldn't say Caitlin had a great All Star game. Yes, she had lots of assists,
Mhm.
but people were waiting for that long three,
She was
that like
trying.
and she was trying, but it took her a while. It seemed to take her a while to get going, and I wonder if that's because she's not like she's used to being the best player on every team she's played
Yep.
on,
Yep.
whereas going into this game, I mean, if you ask her fans, obviously they would say she was the best player on the team. But if you ask normal people, they would say actually that team is filled
Everybody.
Thank
Yep.
you.
with talent.
She gonna fall quite she gonna be further down that list.
Yeah,
But
that was good to see.
yeah, because Jasmine, like when they came on and when they were on together, I did kind of get a sense that like the crowd were really into that, and that was something they were waiting for.
I'm mad that the one time I put my phone down and camera down to, just to It was like a row of us, and we all just was like, we were supposed to record that. We were supposed to get that on camera. Oh yeah, we was all just mad. It was at least like five of us that was just looking at each other like, well. But the arena went crazy. Even like when they saw them, on the court together, from the pass to the handshake. Even when they did the handshake, the crowd just went crazy. It was, to me, that was a really, really good moment, and it shows like, hey, it is okay to like both of them. It
Yeah.
is okay. You can
Yes.
like both of them. It is okay.
Thank you.
like
Thank you.
like it's okay. They both good players. They play two different positions. You can like them both. It's okay.
Well said.
Yeah, I can't disagree. I mean, I like them. I like them both. I think they're both
Oh yeah.
immensely talented players. They're gonna have long careers in the
Yeah.
WNBA,
Mhm.
and they'll both be Hall of Famers. Like, I'm just calling that now. I mean, I don't think it's rocket science to work that out, but
Mhm.
No.
like, they'll both be Hall of Famers. And actually, from that draft class, there's other players in that draft class that will also be Hall of Famers,
That draft
like
class is
Cardosa in Chicago. Like,
Yes.
I'm big on her. Pelly, who's at Minnesota. Like, I think
They're
once they
balling.
all get
yeah.
embedded in their teams, some will do it quicker than others. But once they settle into the league, like,
Mhm.
they'll be Hall of Famers, I'm sure. The game obviously went the way of the WNBA, like it did 3 years ago. But in all fairness, like, the WNBA team were not given anything, and there was that defense that was getting played. And Michelle, as a spectacle for the world, like, the and especially right before an Olympics,
Yeah.
this is the kind of thing that is gonna bring in fans not just in the US, but this
Mhm.
is the kind of thing that will bring in fans worldwide. Because I remember watching the '92 Olympics and watching the men's final against Lithuania.
Yeah.
That was my introduction to basketball, watching the original dream team play, and watching it and like, "How the hell are those guys doing that?" And you know what? There's gonna be kids who are 6, 7 years old watching like, my youngest son, he's gonna be watching his first Olympics. He was too young for the Tokyo one, but he's
Mhm.
gonna be watching his first Olympics, and he's gonna be watching athletes from all sports, to be fair, but he'll watch the women play, and he'll watch the men play basketball, and he will be the same. Like, he watched the All-Star game with me. He sat and watched it, and he was like, "Wow." And, like, he watched the Soccer World Cup last year, and he was like, he got up every morning, turned on the TV because it was in Australia, time difference and stuff. He would
Mhm.
get up in the morning, turn on TV, and watch soccer. There was 3 games, one after the other, and he watched all 3 games, and it got to the afternoon, he's like, "Oh, I don't know what I'm gonna do now, I'm bored." And then what made it worse was, like, after the group stage, you have this big gap of about a week before there's another game, and he woke up one morning, turned on TV, there was no football. He was like, "Dad, where's the football?" I was like, It's on Tuesday." But there's that kind of thing where
Mhm.
kids are gonna wake up and they're gonna want to go to the TV and they're gonna wanna watch these stars play. And that's gonna be huge worldwide, not
Yeah.
just for fans, but those young players that will want to aspire to play in the WNBA.
This is how you get that next generation of players and of people who see how unifying sports are, and they get to see across the globe all these different
Mhm.
Olympians who are coming into a space. This is where kids find out what they love, what they want to do and pursue, and they get to find their way, and they get that mentor, even if it's only through the Olympics or through the television. They
Yeah.
get someone that they can emulate moving forward, that they can say, I don't know what it is about this player. And we've all been there. I told you, for
Yeah.
me, it was Dennis Rodman. I was like, it's something about Dennis Rodman. I love how he plays. I love what he brings to the floor. And then you switch up throughout your life, but you have a group of players that you now try to emulate who actually will influence who you become as a person and as a player. And I think sports is one of the best character builders out there. So I'm looking forward to all of these kids that are going to be exposed to this, even all the young ladies who are getting to see the Olympic team with all the media coverage and the exposure.
Yeah.
The viewership is through the roof. Look at how many people you're about to bring in globally now to watch a league, men and women, because there are young men that watch and come to the games and they are screaming louder
Mhm.
than
I
women.
know. Yes. It's crazy.
I think the Olympics is just going to take it over the top.
I was saying too, I wish I had all these good players growing up. I wish, because just to look up some of these players, oh man. I mean, granted, like I had DT, I had Cappy, like, but my top three was Iverson, DT, and Cappy. So that was my three. And then Rebecca Lobo, because she was my first WNBA player that I got introduced to. So
Hmm.
yep, I
See
got her.
how even just the introduction made them one of your favorite all time.
Yep. So that I wish. Oh, I'll be cold now. Oh, just to be able to pick up after some of these players. Oh man.
What a weekend it was. It was great to have you in Phoenix for it. It was awesome to be able to have you there covering it. Obviously, you've been covering the Las Vegas Aces all season as well. And because we had the quartet down in Phoenix, that's what I'm calling them now. They're now the quartet. Uh, because they were down there, and you got to see them all be there, be happy, and have some fun as well, which is what we're looking for. Asia, Chelsea, Kelsey, Jackie, like, we all wish them well for the Olympics and hope they have a good tournament. They all deserve to be there, and I think we're kind of lucky that we're one team to have 4 players in that team, and 2 of them will start without a doubt. Like
Yeah,
Asia and
Oh
Chelsea will
yeah.
and
start.
Chelsea for
Yep.
sure.
So for
Yep.
sure. So nah, it's brilliant. Now, before the games, in fact, early on last week, it was announced that there was a new TV deal that had been signed and put in place. That kind of, I think did kind of take people by surprise, just the timing of it, because I don't think people were quite ready for it. But a new TV deal has been signed with ESPN, Amazon, and NBC, and it was approved on last Tuesday for 2.2 billion over the next 11 years, which is an average of 200 million a year, and could be the most lucrative deal that the WNBA has ever signed. I would say it is, but I would say it's also quite a long deal before you get to renegotiate that as well. And when you're on the up, there's no chance to kind of renegotiate before the end of that 11 years. But it's still a heck of a deal.
Who wants to go first?
You can go first.
Oh, so initially, when I realized the deal was 2.2 billion, I was like, "Oh my goodness, this is outrageous! This is the best deal ever." Because I'm thinking it's the typical 5 to maybe 6, 7, 8 year deal.
Yeah.
When I heard the word 11, like Cheryl Miller, I was kind of like, "It's still an astronomical deal." But now it's clear who won on this deal.
Yep.
The WNBA still wins. Do not get it twisted. I'm not saying they didn't win, because it is 6 times higher than anything they've had, but it also locks you in for such an extended period of time that as
Mhm.
the league continues to grow and explode, you will not partake in that monetary contribution that you should be getting. There's no way that deal to me should have been more than 5 years, 8 max. And to me, 8 is too long. So I do agree with what she's saying in terms of it sounds good on paper,
Yeah.
but when you actually look at it over the extended period of time, is it as good as we thought it would be? Yes, it's better than we thought it would be. It covers a lot of the needs and the things for the league. I just think when you know me, I don't play checkers, let's play chess. I'm going for the long game. You lost before you even stepped on the court with this deal. So you're stuck in this deal now, and the league, you're just gonna miss out on a lot of opportunities where you could have renegotiated this deal at an earlier time. So I'm sure there are other factors that we're not aware of. So let's make that clear.
Yeah.
I don't know. There are things that we just are not privy to, but just based on what we're seeing, I think Cheryl Miller had a very valid point, and I have to say I love that she had the balls to say it. because it is absolutely correct. Is we're saying equality and equity and women's sports is dominating. That deal says, okay, we see y'all doing something, but we still don't have to do the same thing we would have done with an NBA deal.
Yep. 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 I agree with you. And also, my thing is too is the 2025 draft class. Like even what Sharon Miller just said, you got to look at what's coming up next. Like that draft class alone, along like with this draft class that we just got, that draft class is just gonna be just as big. Yeah, it's to me, it's a good deal, but it's a bad deal at the same time.
Yeah. Look at the value of a fan. So if we know that there's a monetary value to every fan, we don't know what it is for the WNBA, and I'm not going to pretend to know. But let's just say if we look at Facebook or Instagram, TikTok, they all have values. Most
Right.
people don't know this. Facebook is $4 for every person, whereas TikTok and Instagram are a lot lower because the consumer is a lot younger. So they don't have that disposable income. So if it's $4 for one follower on Facebook, Caitlin has millions. So we're already in the 400, we're already up there. So when we look at the monetary value of the fans that have been brought into this league based on that deal, my question is, were you shorted? Yeah. Because the fan base is continuing to grow as it always has. Are you getting that monetary value per fan? I don't think they got it.
No.
Globally, because this is a global game.
Yeah.
Yep. And
I think is
teams too.
Yeah.
Oh,
Adding
absolutely.
teams.
I 100% agree with that. I think the league also, we have to remember all of this is happening in a very short period of time.
Yep.
We had the charter deal that took off, which I told you, wait till that CBA agreement comes up after the season. It's going to get even better because the players are renegotiating too. So it'll be interesting to see how this plays into that. If that charter deal hurts them, if the fact that this deal is 11 years, whether that helps or hurts the players, I don't really see how it's going to help them. But I think we got to look at all of those. I think the league also needs to take a step back and say, I know you guys haven't really felt the need to create relationships globally because it's kind of been the WNBA versus overseas. That can no longer happen. They need to merge and they need to figure it out. And if you do not have people who are culturally immersed, hire a former player who knows how to build those relationships, because you are missing out on tons of fans because you simply refuse to work with FIBA and some of those organizations overseas that could blow the league wide open.
Yeah, absolutely. One thing I was thinking that maybe in that contract is there may be clauses in that contract that, if you hit so many viewers, you know what, we're going to give you an extra 10 million or like whatever. So there could be clauses in there that, if there is so many viewers, I'm just using viewers as an example, but if there is so many viewers on average, then you know what? At 8 years, 7 years, you do get to renegotiate
I
that
guarantee you
contract.
that is not the case. I will
Okay.
put everything I've made on it. That is not the case. That's not in that contract. It's not, because to me, if it was a performance-based contract, they would have said it. They would have
true,
said,
yeah.
"Oh, this is a $2.2 billion deal, but we also made it performance-based, so it could grow to be even." There's no way they would have let go of that free marketing and not said that. It's not in that deal. It's not in that deal.
Yeah. Now I definitely feel like they got shorted. Like I thought they got shorted before, but
Oh, they should have sent Cheryl Miller in there. Cheryl Miller would have came out.
When she said we need tougher negotiators, I was just like, we
That's
got to
fair.
send you in there.
That's fair, because I go, that's a very fair point, but that's why I also said this all happened so quickly. No one knew that Caitlin would spark like this. Angel Reese, no one knew all of these things. But I think also it's kind of like we say in athletics, and Jazz, I know you know this. Don't get ready, stay ready.
Yeah.
You knew the league was going to grow. You've seen the viewership growing for years now. We need to look at, maybe there are front office positions that need to work on the overseas relationship building. Boom. Okay, we need negotiators. We knew that this negotiation was coming up. Why? And don't get me wrong, because I know the NBA helps out with a lot of these things.
Mhm.
That's why I'm kind of shocked to see it still being the short end of the stick. Because if the NBA is helping on this, the NBA wouldn't have got shorted.
Nope. And my thing too is, yeah, we knew, because I mean, if you're paying attention to college sports and how, especially the women's basketball right now, and how big, you know, that whole rookie, like that whole
Mhm.
season, even the year before, and we can go to the year before that too, where to the
Yep.
point where you was watching the women's college basketball more than the men's.
Yes.
People knew about women's college basketball, even the players and everything, more than they know about the men's. So
Mhm.
they had time to prep and get that together. Hey, these women are going to be coming into the league soon. Let's, figure it out. Granted, yeah, we didn't know how popular it was going to be, but I mean, they knew last year. They
Yeah.
had that last season.
Mhm.
They knew. So yeah,
For me, I think Cheryl putting that article out there is a big deal because I will
yeah,
say this on the WNBA side, I know they've always been asking for more resources, and it's always been the easy out to say, oh, just leverage our NBA resources.
yep,
Two different entities, two different fan bases, very different in terms of advertising and sponsorships. You can no longer do that. Follow Golden State, follow the Aces, the Liberty, and these teams that are saying, you know what? We realize we need to create the women's side and it will be different than the men's. And until these teams, because a lot of them are jumping in now, oh, I want a women's team now.
yep,
But are you willing to put the resources in and the money to invest to make sure that you're fully monetizing these organizations? And it isn't just, here's what we have left, or we got to make sure the NBA is taken care of first, and you can talk to our
yep.
lawyer with whatever time he has left. And you can tell the resources are not there.
No.
Yeah, for sure. Hopefully, though, they will be. We do have the new
They will
CBA
be.
coming up after this season as well. That will be interesting to see how that plays out,
Yep.
especially with chartered flights and
Yeah.
all that fun stuff that's involved. But Michelle, thank you for joining us. Jasmine, thank you for traveling down to Phoenix
Yes.
and soaking up the All Star experience and coming on here and telling us all about it because we're very privileged to be able to do that and
Mhm.
have that kind of access. And I would like to thank the WNBA for giving. I know we've kind of slated them on their deal, but I would like to thank them
Yeah,
also
we got to be
um,
honest.
for giving us the opportunity to be in Phoenix as well,
Yeah.
and as well for the Aces for giving us media credentials for the season up in LV, so that we can have our Aces podcasts and all the social media stuff that you've been doing. Jasmine has been phenomenal as well. So
Thank you.
please, people, do go check out Across the Pond Aces on Instagram because Jasmine's got it blowing up. I think we had 20,000 views on the last video you put out.
Mhm.
So it's jumping over there. So go check that out. We will be back later this week at our usual kind of slot. So we'll probably drop that episode Saturday. So do look out for that. And then I'll be back with Jasmine on the Aces show as well next weekend. But from everyone here, thanks so much for joining us. And let's hope we get a USA gold.
We don't
We
hope in America.
we
We're going to
getting
bring it
it. We
home.
we we getting it.
Come on. You know we're not letting that slide.
We
Did you,
getting
did you
it.
see that gas I just poured on there? Have fun, everyone. We'll catch you next week.